Hello, Augies worldwide. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. The question that we get here is common and very perplexing to a lot of hams. And the answer is not quite what a person might think it would be right offhand. Okay, so this is from Rob Mages, WB6CEL. And he says, I'm trying to do better AC ripple out of a 15 volt 30 amp switching power supply. In addition to the stock Chinese power supply, 20,000 microfarads, it's millifarads, isn't it? Which would be 20 farads. Now, I think that's microfarad. He has an M there. And in a lot of older work, M was used instead of the letter U for micro. And it's the Greek letter that we use today. 20,000 microfarad filter capacity, which is lots of filtering, still gives me audio buzzing. How do I design better output power supply filtering? Please, Dave, show me the light. And he is also a new Patreon member, and I thank him for that and all of the Patreons that support this channel. I really appreciate it. Now, let's talk a little bit about switching power supplies and why I recommend that you purchase a switching power supply made specifically for ham radio. And that really drops the number of power supplies that you can get. You can pretty much forget everything from China, and you look at like Samlex or PowerWorks and so on. The MFJ power supplies have got them, all different kinds. What happens is the voltage coming in, the line voltage, is converted to DC and with rectifier, and then a chopper circuit chops that up and keeps flipping a switch like this to create a sort of very ragged AC at about 50 kilohertz. Now, the thing about transformers at 50 kilohertz, they can be very, very much smaller than transformers at 60 hertz. And so this is why they do this. They can use that tiny little transformer and save enough money by using the tiny transformer to pay for all the rest of the circuitry plus. And that's why switching power supplies are generally less expensive than their linear counterparts. Now, I've had both, and the switching power supply that is in the reference station is the Samlex SEC 1235M. Okay? And like I said, MFJ, PowerWorks has 2 or 3 of those that work really well, and so on. And the thing is that they are filtered, but more important is that the chopping, where they chop that waveform very crudely by simple switching, chop that waveform into a rough AC, and then they rectify that, filter it, and send it on out, is the shielding around it. This is where most power supplies that are not designed for ham radio fall short, is the shielding that's around it. Now, you can't just wrap it in foil because you got to get the ventilation in and out. But the first thing you can start with is to ground your power supply to your station ground. Now, I know the third plug on it goes into the utility ground, and that's fine. Don't defeat that. Let it go on into that. Now, then you've got your station ground. The station ground now puts the radio and your power supply on the same basis. They're at the same voltage all the time. That can help reduce the hash that comes out of this. Now, as far as an audio hum, There's nothing in that power supply that works at 60 hertz or 120 hertz, which will both give you a hum. Now, as I said, that original AC going into the line is rectified. Now, that creates a hum type frequency, and if it's not shielded, it can get on the line and get into your radio and create a 60 hertz hum if your radio can't filter that out, which it should. You can try putting a clamp-on ferrite bead around the input to that power supply, and then I do it on both output leads too. And make sure that the output black is grounded to your station ground. You've got two things going on here: filtering and also radiating RF. Radiating RF from this. You've got the 50 or 60 kilohertz, which will appear on your radio as a band of hash every 50 or 60 kilohertz, okay? Because this chopping of a square wave is very, very rich in harmonics, and they have to be shielded in there. The hum from the beginning getting out, put a ferrite bead on it, that should help it. My real recommendation to you is to get a power supply that's made for ham radio. The reference one is the Samlex 1235M. Nice power supply. There are less expensive power supplies to be found. I'd stay away from the Alinco because their way of handling the hash every 50 or 60 kilohertz is to give you a knob on the power supply that can move the hash out of the way. So the hash is still coming through. But again, MFJ, just call DX Engineering or HRO and get yourself a good, simple power supply. Okay, 25 amps is sufficient for most radios. 30 amps seems to be pretty common. Anything more than that is largely overkill. I would keep it to the 13.8 volts if I were you. Although the rigs can handle more than that, it does stress them. So there you have it. So some things you can do with your current power supply and some things that you can do to just eliminate the problem completely. I hope this gives you some information that you can deal with. And I'd like to say thank you for your question. Those wishing to send questions can send them to Ask Dave, all one word, at arrl.org. The league right at the moment is having trouble with their systems due to, well, some sort of a hacking attack. So they should be getting those up before too long. They're working, I'm sure, 24 hours a day on it. So until we next meet, 73.